It's time for Talkin' Boxing with and transformed to a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
We're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligiero. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing all right today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Fight TV, and all the great fights you can watch on Fight TV. Just Fight TV just got better because you can watch them right on the front page of BillyCBoxing.com. Check out our embedded player for Fight TV. And by the way, while you're there, download the free Billy C app. You can watch or listen to the show wherever you go. Just visit BillyCBoxing.com. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molitor, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy of it right now while you're watching or listening to this show. Just visit barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. It's a great Christmas gift as the holidays are, quickly arriving here. So if you're looking to get a signed copy, visit the website, BillyCBoxing.com. Or if you're looking to get more than one, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I can take care of you directly. Listen, this past weekend, we watched a great fight. It was a great fight on HBO. Miguel Cotto, billed as his final fight, came up short. Sadam Ali surprised everybody, especially myself, in putting on a very impressive performance. Sadam Ali improved to 27 wins, 1 loss with 14 knockouts when he won a unanimous decision over Miguel Cotto, who drops to 41-6 with 33 knockouts. The way the judges scored it, I thought they got it right pretty much. 115, 113 twice, 116, 112. My initial thoughts, typical Miguel Cotto. Listen, I cannot find fault in Miguel Cotto for losing this fight. I can't. What I see in Miguel Cotto, in retrospect, assuming this is his last fight or was his last fight, Miguel Cotto did what Miguel Cotto does. Miguel Cotto was in the more entertaining fights throughout his career, never ducked anyone, and always brought his best. And when he came up on the short end, he always gave credit to his opponent, just like he did on Saturday night. And the one thing that rings in my ears very strongly and loudly is the fact that Miguel Cotto went out on his shield, performing at the best he could against a young gun fighter. Now, did I think that Sadam Ali had a chance? No, I didn't. He was moving up in weight, and Miguel Cotto's experience and punching power, etc., I thought was going to carry him throughout the night. But credit what credit's due to both fighters. Sadam Ali for winning and listening to his corner and doing what he had to do. And, of course, Miguel Cotto for not only trying his hardest throughout the 12 rounds, but challenging himself against a young, once beaten fighter, almost 10 years younger than him. That's what true champions do. That's what true Hall of Famers do. This BS about cherry picking and picking easy fights to pad your record is complete bullshit. And you know that I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather. Miguel Cotto and Floyd Mayweather don't even stand in the same room in terms of respect from me. Miguel Cotto gets more respect for the way he fights. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island, we'll get your thoughts on it, Sal. Sal Rocky Senecola. Sal, what was your thoughts on the fight?
I can't argue with anything you've said. I'll tell you what. As I always say, any given night. It surprised me too. Sadam Ali rose to the occasion. We were talking even during his press conference and everything else that he was quiet, he was humble. He didn't sound like he was touting too much of what he was going to do. And I thought, you got to be careful because I think he was going to maybe rise to the occasion, come in here and say, hey, I'm going to surprise the world. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what he did because on paper, this should have been a real good swan dance and a little last fight. And Miguel Cotto, he looked at several opponents, and this Ali he chose. And not that he was an easy out in any way, shape, or form. He was never going to be an easy out. But on paper, he was calculated that this is the guy that he's going to look good against and that he can beat. And he fought his heart out, Miguel Cotto, and so did Sadam Ali. And as I always say, Billy C., any given night, you never know what can happen and what's in one's heart. And they both fought a fight to win. And I give them credit to both of these warriors. It was great.
Well, I give a lot of credit to Miguel. I can't disagree with you. Both fighters obviously get credit. Sadam Ali bucking the odds. But my point about Miguel Cotto is something that's going to help him along the way now that his career presumably is over. When you look at Miguel Cotto's career from start to finish, this is a guy, and let's be real, Miguel Cotto did not exactly possess all the skills that you would expect from a fighter with his success. His level of success came from heart, determination, and relentless attack, and that's exactly what he did on Saturday night. He kept moving forward. He kept throwing punches. He didn't dazzle anybody with anything, really.
No.
But Sadam Ali kind of did. He kept true to his game plan. He moved when he had to move. Both fighters seemed to get hurt in this fight. I did think that Sadam Ali had Cotto hurt a couple of times and did not go in for the kill for whatever reason. His corner kept telling him that. His father yelling from the third row kept telling him that. But the bottom line was it was good to see the judges get it right. So too often do we see judges go with the favorites, so to speak. Some of those scores could have been the other way. Those rounds did seem close at times, but at the end of the day, Sadam Ali won the fight. And at the end of the fight, Miguel Cotto said, and I quote, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good with the performance I did. Something happened to my left bicep in the 7th round. I don't want to make excuses. Sadam Ali won the fight. It is my last fight. I'm good, and I want to be happy in my home with my family. Thank you for all the fans. I'm proud to call Madison Square Garden my second home. I had the opportunity to provide the best for my family because of this sport. It certainly sounds like this was the last fight, and it certainly looked to me like he aged overnight in his last fight. I'm sure he did not want to end his career with an L, but you know what, Sal? The performance like that against a young gun. Now, granted, I'm not putting Sadam Ali as a pound-for-pound top fighter because he's certainly not. But he's right now, he's in a great position. I can't emphasize enough of how much respect I have for Miguel Cotto for challenging himself in this fight. And even though it looked on paper that, he should have had an easy go at it, at least in my eyes, because Sadam Ali had moved up in weight, etc. Cotto's still a smaller guy, and Cotto still fought a guy almost 10 years younger than him. That has to have some value. At least it does in my book. What about you, Sal?
Well, of course it does. Miguel Cotto, as you said, he's a warrior from the old school, challenges himself, and he knew the risks going in the ring with a younger guy like this. And I'll tell you, it was just a good performance, solid by both guys. I do appreciate how Sadam Ali, I mean, literally, he listened to his corner. His corner said, it reminded me of the old days when Angelo Dundee told Sugar Ray Leonard, "You're blowing it, babe. Go out there. You want this fight. You better do it now." And that's not exactly what he said verbatim, but you know what I mean. And he got the same kind of pep talk in the later rounds from his trainer. And he did what he wanted to do. He wanted to win. He wanted to fight. He went down there. And I'll tell you what, Miguel Cotto, he fights his heart out. He didn't do anything bad. He fought the way he always fights, as you said. And it just came up a little short. There were a lot of rounds that I also scored with a question mark, iffy, here and there. And I even gave one round a draw. I mean, I couldn't decide, but I gave a score, I think it was 116 to 114. And it was a close fight, but there were some close rounds. I don't know if there's going to be last time we see Miguel Cotto. After the dust clears, it's hard to leave the ring after a stellar career like that with a loss. And I don't know if there's a rematch clause, because this was supposed to be his last fight. But if it was a rematch clause, I think he may exercise that. We'll see.
Why? I say why. I say why, because he's got nothing left to prove. See, here's the difference. Here's the difference, in my opinion. All right.
Go ahead, tell me.
And I hope that a lot of young fighters. I'm sorry. I hope a lot of young fans recognize the difference and the comparison I'm going to make. Floyd Mayweather, and I hate to bring him up because, as far as I'm concerned, the sport of boxing is way better without him. All right. But Floyd Mayweather was extremely successful in marketing the Money Mayweather brand and getting his fans to drink the Kool-Aid and et cetera, et cetera. And if you take a look at his last handful of fights, removing the Manny Pacquiao fight, because the Manny Pacquiao fight had to be a fight that took place. Yes, it took place too late, but it took place nonetheless. So I give him credit for that. But then he fights Andre Berto. Andre Berto is no young gun. He's not an up-and-coming fighter. This was a guy that was marked as spent. And then he finishes his career, supposedly, against a pro debut. And he's pounding his chest, undefeated. I hear people say, "Oh, you can't touch him. You can't." Yeah, because he runs. Miguel Cotto has been a warrior throughout his whole career. They were showing you little snippets of his career throughout the broadcast. And you know what? It was interesting to remember, how much. I mean, for the last decade, this guy's been challenging himself and giving it his all. To me, in the big picture, long-term, Hall of Fame, because let's face it, Miguel Cotto and Floyd Mayweather are both first-ballot Hall of Famers. Miguel Cotto is going to be remembered more. People are going to remember his fights more than Floyd. And the truth of the matter is fans remember excitement. Miguel Cotto's fights are exciting. Floyd Mayweather's are not. There is not one fight, at least in the last 10 years, that you could say was exciting that Floyd Mayweather participated in. When you look at these two guys who in a sense, were kind of parallel throughout their careers, time-wise and everything else, you know what? Miguel Cotto deserves a lot of credit, Sal. And not that I'm comparing him with Floyd in terms of talent, because I think Floyd clearly had and still has the better talent than Cotto. But you can't argue the heart and determination of Miguel Cotto, and he's proved it time and time again. Listen, anytime a fighter loses, it's bad in their mind, but to go out like this, on your feet, fighting the way you always fought, he goes out a winner in my book, even though the record indicates a loss.
Well, that's well put, Billy. I think he is a winner. I mean, come on, let's see it. He's gotten so many memorable fights that he gave all of all of his fans, and even the times where he's picked himself up off the canvas and he's come back and he's won either by knockout or just by overwhelming his opponents with his aggressive style of fighting. And I mean, no, these are memorable fights, and these are fights that, as you said, are going to be etched in everyone's mind and in his record, and it's going to show. And as I said, he never left anything not in the ring. He spent it all, and he fought his heart out every time. He got 100% from Miguel Cotto with his desire and his passion to carry him forward to victory. That's it.
Sadam Ali, after the fight, said, I worked hard for this. I took advantage of this fight, and I made sure to make it count. I want to thank God and also thank Team Cotto. They could have taken an easier fight if they wanted to. I had him hurt there a couple of times. I knew I had to do something, or he would have dug in. By the 11th round, I thought the fight was close. Whatever Golden Boy has next, I'll take it. Good things happen to good people. I've been training since I'm 8 years old, and I'm glad I got this win at Madison Square Garden in my hometown. One thing I strongly disagree with you about, Sal, is that I don't think Sadam Ali was listening to his corner until the end.
Until the end, that's what I meant. I mean, until the end, when he was told, hey, do you want
to continue throwing punches. They pleaded with him to, not let Cotto get off the hook. And finally, he came in and did what he had to do. I just thought that Sadam Ali, should he have followed the instruction earlier, maybe this fight would have ended in a different way, better for Sadam Ali. I think maybe it had to do with the respect factor. Do you think that Sadam Ali was being too respectful in the ring with Cotto? And it's something I've said about opponents that face Floyd Mayweather. Here you are, you face Floyd, and you're making a payday that's life-changing. How do you beat the snot out of a guy that just made it happen? In Sadam Ali's case, I don't know how much he made for this fight officially, but it was an opportunity for him. Now the doors are wide open. I mean, human nature, you got to respect the guy in front of you. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I don't think you're respecting the legend or what it is that he is the guy that invited you to this dance and you're going to propel yourself up here. I don't think it was that type of respect. I think it was the respect that, hey, this guy's always dangerous, and I'm going to be methodical in my try to disarm him and try to break him down and try to hit him and catch him. I'm not going to rush in. I think it was more of that respect, because I think that Sadam Ali did show at times he did have Miguel Cotto hurt. He didn't rush in to do a finish or do something here and there, because he knew that Miguel Cotto is always dangerous. As long as he's on his feet, this guy is always in the fight. And I think he fought the fight, no matter how you want to dice it. He did what he had to do to win. And a fighter knows when he's in the middle of a fight, he can feel the ebb and flow. He can tell. I'm sure Sadam Ali felt that he was turning the tide in the middle rounds. I'm sure he felt that he was gaining the advantage in the later rounds. And when you have that confidence, you don't take it for granted, because a fight can change in any moment. And I think he did what he had to do. And I think the last couple of round pep talk that, hey, you got to go out there. You want this fight? It's close. You got to go out there and show us you want this fight and throw those punches. I think that helped him carry him over the top.
Well, I mean, I agree, but I also think that there was a level of respect.
There was,
and I we all saw that Cotto was rocked in this fight,
yes,
and he did not move in. Sadam Ali did not move in. Now you seem to allude to the fact that you thought it was more cautiousness than respect. It was definitely something, and when his corner's telling him move in, you got this guy hurt. His father's going, you can hurt this guy. You can do it. Yelling at him that we all heard. But I can't help but think that he's saying to himself, geez, I'm in here with a future Hall of Famer, Miguel Cotto. I think it's human nature. I really do. To show respect, maybe at a fault. I'm trying to look at it both ways. I know you look at it kind of through your own mind. If you were in that position,
yes,
how
right.
do you do it? And the truth of the matter is you have to look. In my opinion, you have to look at it, objectively, how these two people would think, not the way you would think. I'm with you. Like, if I had that opportunity, I would try to go in for the kill. I wouldn't have that super respect until after the fight. But I just, I've never been in a position where I'm making that much money. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. We got some other fights that were on that card. Don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by. This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant, or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching to Billy C. Show. Don't forget it. The holidays are upon us, and you want to get everybody on your Christmas list a copy of my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. You can get a copy of it right now, in case you haven't seen it. Here it is. You can visit our website. You can go to barnesandnoble.com. You can go to amazon.com. All I know is the fat guy in the red suit wants you to give out my book. So get yourself a bunch of copies. Sal, I think that the turning point in this fight, at least in my opinion, was, let me start off a different way. Most fighters, when they get hurt, they shake their head and say, no, I didn't get hurt. And we all know that they got hurt. In this fight, it seemed, I can't remember which round, maybe the eighth or ninth round, Cotto landed a shot that rocked Sadam Ali. And Sadam Ali went against the ropes, and he looked at Cotto, and he nodded his head, yes, it got me. And then from that point on, I saw a different Sadam Ali throughout the rest of the fight. He seemed to say to himself, I'm in a fight. I just took a shot. let's go to war. And that's what I thought happened. I thought that was the turning point in the fight for Sadam Ali. What's your thoughts?
You know what? It's a very good point, Bill, because that sometimes it does take a moment just like that. You get caught, you took one of the best shots you're going to take, and bam, and then you realize, hey, that woke me up. I got to turn it on because I don't want to get hit like that again, because I might be picking myself up off the mat. It could very well have been. You're in the fight. It's a long fight. You have different things, your motivations, and it just takes a snap like that to make something change in your mind and just turn it on. And that very well could have been something that he tapped into. I'd be curious to see if that was something in one of the interviews that he does reveal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't ringside. I was watching it from home, but to me, I thought that that was the turning point, at least by performance-wise. That's what I saw. But I thought Sadam Ali did a great job. He deserves the credit. And now, to have a name like Miguel Cotto on your resume, not only that, but picking up the WBO junior middleweight title for a guy that really is known as a welterweight. And he looked pretty big and strong.
He looked big.
So, you know what? Congratulations to Sadam Ali. I hope that his career continues moving upward. One thing I did notice, I'm not a big fan of his main trainer, Andre Rozier. And normally the corner is very subdued and quiet. One of my hang-ups with Rozier is that he thinks he's a Zen master, but he was very animated in this fight. He was, I could see the anger in his eyes. I wonder if that had something to do with it. So I kind of want to give Andre Rozier credit for mixing up his normal monotone approach and firing up his fighter. The only other thing I noticed in the corner was that it seemed a little chaotic. There was more than one voice yelling and talking to Sadam Ali, and then you add the father from ringside. I wonder how distracting that was for Ali, but he put it all behind him and put together the win. When you take a look at Miguel Cotto's corner, typical Miguel Cotto's corner. Freddie Roach, I just don't know how much instruction Freddie Roach really gives to his fighters. I mean, Miguel Cotto is a guy that is an aggressive fighter, right up Freddie Roach's alley. But really, Freddie Roach didn't do anything. I mean, is this from a guy, Sal, that just feels that, Cotto is Cotto and you can't teach him new tricks? I mean, shouldn't he have been trying to not so much motivate him with rah-rah speech, but try to give him some technical instruction? Try to cut the ring off better. Try to go in there protecting yourself. He's trying to catch you. Sadam Ali was trying to time him and counterpunch him. I didn't see Miguel Cotto do anything to prevent that from happening. I mean, there was no instruction from Freddie Roach, in my opinion.
No, and there was not. You're right. He could have said, "Hey, I want you to go out there. I want you to pump that jab, feint it, let him exchange, let him commit to countering you, and then you counter him." I mean, there could have been a lot that could have been said and done, and yeah, a little rah-rah, a little pep up, but that's not the style that Freddie Roach brings to the table. He does know. He's more methodical. He breaks it down. He's analytical, but sometimes a fighter needs a little fire in his corner, and it helps. I mean, and bottom line is, a fighter has to have confidence in his trainer. You know it's you in the ring. It's you. But when a fighter, you listen to most fighters when they're interviewed. Oh, we're gonna do this. We did this. We did. They always have a we, because they feel very much in tune with their trainer. It's just a natural progression of commitment, a natural progression of trust, and so you feel like you do have a little bit of a guy that's looking out for you in the corner. And you're not going to get the animated, of course, instructions that's going to have a level of urgency coming from Freddie Roach. And I think that could have maybe helped Miguel Cotto. We don't know. But bottom line is, Miguel Cotto has confidence in his corner, confidence in Freddie Roach. And so Freddie Roach was just Freddie Roach. That's it. And you're not going to get something out of what you think you can from Freddie, other than what Freddie does deliver. That's it. I do give Rozier a lot of credit, and I think that did help Ali come over the top and turn it on. And I think he was more animated. I think he did express the urgency. I think he did let him know, hey, this fight's on the line. Do you want to win or not? And I think it does help. So, two different styles, two different trainers.
I like when fighters say we because they make and try to give credit for the team. I mean, a lot of times a fighter's preparing for a fight and he's got other guys running with him. He's got other guys sparring with him. They're putting in work too. So I could see team, and I like it. I
like it too. That's what I always do.
I agree. I think that it's important. What I don't like is when you hear we, and then the fighter loses, and the trainer's got the mic in front of him, and he says he didn't do this.
Yeah,
he didn't do that. When they win, it's we won. We trained hard. We did this. We did that. And then when they lose, it's like, well, he didn't listen. He didn't
listen to me.
So that's the only problem with that I have. But I thought that this was Cotto's. It was supposed to be his farewell party. He didn't get anything from Freddie Roach. Whether he was looking to get anything from Freddie or not, he didn't. Sadam Ali, in my opinion, wasn't listening too well to his corner until that punch. When Cotto landed that shot on Sadam Ali, and he smiled and said, "Yeah, you got me," because it knocked him right back into the ropes. To me, that was the turning point in the fight. And one other thing I wanted to add about that fight, I was sick to my stomach listening to the commentating on that fight. There was a punch in that fight that Sadam Ali threw and missed Cotto by a mile. All right, and he fell down. And what does Jim Lampley goes? Go down goes Ali. Oh! And I'm like, dude, he didn't even hit him. And he's go. And then the next day, and then Max says, I think he stepped on his foot, Jim. And Roy Jones, who I'm so sick of, says, I don't think he even hit him with that punch, And then they showed a replay, and of course, he didn't even come close. And even after watching the replay, Harold Letterman still thought that the punch landed, and Max was like, well, we got to see the replay. It didn't matter. And I'm saying to myself, oh, God, is this going to be a bias commentary? Because it was. They weren't even giving Sadam Ali credit. And as a matter of fact, if you were listening to the commentary, you might have thought that Miguel Cotto won that fight. You might have thought that those scores were going to all be for Cotto, with the exception towards the end when Harold Letterman started scoring those rounds for Sadam Ali. His scorecard started taking shape, but it seemed like the commentators were reluctant to give Sadam Ali any credit. Did you see that?
Oh, come on, 100% from the get-go. And, I made notes here because you were 100% right. I got so tired of listening to Lampley and Kellerman. And I got to give Jones credit because he reels it in. He talks to reality. In fact, I got to make a statement. His days may be numbered there because he always calls these guys out. These guys want to go out on a tangent and want to go out, well, it's going to be this, is that. And Roy says, hey, that's not what I saw. This is really what happened. This is what he does. He gives a fighter's perspective, and he reels it back into reality. These guys want to create the fantasy or create whatever, it's smoke and mirrors, but Roy levels the playing field and says, no, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is the reality of the situation. This is what that fighter's thinking. And I got to give Roy Jones credit for that, and he does, and I empathize, and I see what he's doing, but he's always correcting him. So I don't know if the big wigs or the suits are going to like that too much longer. They're going to have a talk with Roy, or they're going to, because these guys look like fools at times. They really do.
So does Roy, though. I mean, listen, Roy was on that thing, on that particular strike, that miss by a mile. At least from the camera angle, I saw it very clearly the first time. I did not have to see the replay to see that he didn't even land. But Lennox Lewis and George Foreman both lost their jobs for disagreeing. But for some reason, Roy agrees enough. Roy. I don't like the group. I think that boxing needs a whole new set of commentators. Showtime is the worst. I mean, Mario Ronaldo is the worst commentator I've ever heard in my life. Jim Lampley has lost the ability to call a fight without punch stats. And, Max, I still believe Max's wings have been clipped. He's not allowed to say what he wants. And Roy is there just to jack it up a little bit. And my hang-up with Roy, and I got to take a break, but my hang-up with Roy is it's always about Roy. No matter what, it gets back to Roy. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Coming up in about a half hour, we got Dax Khan scheduled to join us with his thoughts on Miguel Cotto's final fight and Sadam Ali's victory to capture the WBO junior middleweight title over Miguel Cotto. In case you're just joining us and missed the news, Sadam Ali won a unanimous decision over Miguel Cotto to improve to 27-1 with 14 knockouts at Madison Square Garden Saturday night. It was broadcast on HBO. The judges saw it 115-113 twice and 116-112. Miguel Cotto, Hall of Famer, no doubt. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. He's record now 41-6 with 33 knockouts. Claims this was his last fight. I believe it was. On the undercard, in the super bantamweight division. Now, you could also say super junior featherweight or whatever. I thought it was I thought it was junior bantamweight. Ray Vargas, the WBC champion, improved to 31-0 with 22 knockouts when he won a unanimous decision over Oscar Negrete. And these guys were 122 pounds. Ray Vargas is tall. I don't know how he weighs 122 pounds. My leg weighs 122 pounds. But Negrete drops to 17-1 with 7 knockouts, 119, 108 twice, 120, 108. I agree with those scores. It was a one-sided fight. Ray Vargas' height and reach and boxing ability was too much for his opponent, but a couple of nasty cuts over his eye. I'm surprised they didn't stop it. Unintentional headbutts caused the cuts, Sal, but they were pretty nasty, and the blood was flowing into the eyes of Ray Vargas. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Bill. I was glad they didn't stop it. I mean, who was it that made this comment? It might have also been Jones. This is the sport of boxing. This is what happens. You get hurt, and this is what a warrior does. He bites the bullet, and he tries to go on and get the job done, no matter what he's dealt in the cards. They patched him up. I think they controlled the blood flow as best they could. I know what that feeling's like, and I know you see blood. There's the urgency. Hey, I got to end this fight because they're going to stop it. But if not, you just go round and round, and you hope for the best, and you protect yourself where you can. But hey, you get in the pockets, you fire the guns, you do what you got to do to win, and keep in the fight. And he did just that. So I give Vargas a lot of credit. I don't think he let those cuts bother him as much. I'll tell you what, Negrete, he's a gamer. He's got some determination. He's got heart, but he does not have the ability or skill to propel him or to punch behind the pocket. So I think it was a one-sided fight, as you said. I had a 120-108.
Also on the undercard, in the junior flyweight division, Angel Acosta improved to 17-1 with 17 knockouts when he took care of Juan Alejo, who drops to 25-5-1 with 15 knockouts. The 10th round, the referee called a stop to the action at 1 minute and 33 seconds to give Acosta the TKO win. Also on the undercard, Ronnie Rios won a 10-round decision against Delvis Julio to improve to 29-2 with 13 knockouts. 97-93, 99-91, 100-90 were the way the three judges scored that one. And Julio drops to 19-4. And Zachary Ochoa took care of, in a welterweight, Eric Martinez in a 6-round fight, 60-54, the way to all three judges scored it. Ochoa is 18-1 now. Martinez, 14-10. So those were the fights that were on the undercard. Some other fights I wanted to mention real quick. In Canada, there was the heavyweight, the Canadian heavyweight fight, and the Canadian champion Dylan Carmen was stopped by Mladen Majas in that one. So there's a new Canadian champion. Saul Canelo Alvarez's brother, Ramon Alvarez, improved to 25-6-3 when he won a 10-round decision over Johnny Navarrete, who drops to 34-11. And heavyweight, now mark my words, this guy's going to be fighting Tyson Fury. David Price, one-time top contender, he improved to 22-4 when he won a 6-round decision over Kamel Sokolowski, who drops to 4-12. So mark my words, that's going to be an opponent for Tyson Fury when he makes his comeback to prepare for AJ. Some emails to read. First and foremost, in the scoreboard, NFL scoreboard, Vikings topped the Falcons 14-9. The Patriots beat up on the Bills 23-3. The 49ers pick up their second win, 15-14 over the Bears. The Packers beat the Buccaneers 26-20 in overtime. The Titans came from behind to beat the Texans 24-13. The Dolphins had no problem with the Broncos 35-9 in that one. The Jets won a fairly exciting game over the Chiefs 38-31. I hope this doesn't mean that the Jets are going to keep that bum coach they have and that flash-in-the-pan 97-year-old quarterback. The Jaguars beat the Colts 30-10. The Ravens beat the Lions 44-20. The Ravens, are they the comeback team of the NFL? They certainly look like it, and the Lions seem to be faltering now when they had a lot of high hopes at the beginning of the season. The Chargers topped the Browns 19-10. The Raiders beat the hapless Giants 24-14. The Saints over the Panthers 31-21. The Rams continue their winning ways, 32-16 victory over the Cardinals. And the Seahawks beat the Eagles, arguably the best team in football, the Eagles, 24-10. But then again, they played in the Seahawks were home in that one. In the NBA, the Magic beat the Knicks 105-100. The Warriors beat the Heat 123-95. The Timberwolves beat the Clippers 112-106. The Thunder beat the Spurs 90-87. The Rockets over the Lakers 118-95. In the NHL, the Kings over the Blackhawks 3-1. The Jets beat the Senators 5-0. The Stars over the Avalanche 7-2. And the Golden Knights of Vegas beat the Coyotes 3-2 in overtime. Some emails concerning the fights from this weekend. First and foremost, my man Jeff from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania says, "Hey, Billy C, I'm watching Vargas and Negretti, and to be honest, Vargas is a serial complainer. The ref is absolutely listening to him, but Negretti is trying his best to work inside. I absolutely hate it when a ref listens to a fighter's complaints. If issues are arising, he should be calling them on his own, not reacting to the complaints. Vargas winning clearly, but he certainly has the physical advantage. I give Negretti credit for making this a fight. Vargas finished strong, made some needed adjustments to stay on the outside." Sal, I agree with Jeff here. I don't like when a referee is kind of convinced by a fighter to make a call. I believe that the referees need to be in control of the fight 100%. What do you think?
Well, of course, the referee, that's his job. It's like in my restaurant. If we seat a couple or people down at a table, and my hostesses or servers, say, "Hey, this is where we're going to sit you. This is strategically in our dining room what's going to happen," and then they get up and move on themselves or say, "Hey, we could do this and do that." It disrupts the whole thing, and that's not a really good analogy. But the bottom line is the same thing. When a fighter is in a fight, he could bring it to the referee's attention, and sure, I don't mind that. If I'm getting held, or if my hand's constantly behind my head, or if this guy's using his head for a weapon and trying to bust me open or something, I'm going to make it one point maybe to say, "Hey, ref, keep an eye on that." But I'm not going to lure the guy in and say, "Hey, I want you to say something here." The referee has the objective view, and he's looking at the fight at all times. And if he is a professional, if he is true to what he's supposed to be doing as his job, he will call it out as he sees it, and he will make the adjustments. He'll make the notes. You don't have to convince him and sell him on it. And I know some fighters think they do. And sometimes the referees do listen, or maybe it's just the natural path of what they do to snap the trigger. I don't know.
I think that the fighter should never tell a referee, keep an eye on it, do this, do that. I think the fighter should be in there to fight. The referee's in there to referee. My opinion, the fighter should not be complaining to the referee for anything. If anybody's going to complain, it should be the corner of that fighter in between rounds. "Hey, ref, keep an eye. He's holding. Hey, ref, do this, do that." During a fight, I agree 100% with Jeff here. The fighter has to stop complaining. And if a fighter starts saying, "Hey, he's holding me by the head," that's wrong. I disagree with that. They should not do that. He says, Cotto versus Ali, early scare, but Cotto really is a pleasure to watch, keeping the pressure on. It was no gimme fight. Miguel Cotto wanted to go out in a real fight. Ali early, but Cotto beginning to come on in the end, keeping the pressure on the young man. the tables changed back, and then Ali was the winner. Young man had the more energy. He says, when I was young, I would look through the records of old-time fighters, sometimes noticing the losses more than the wins. I've learned something now. I get Mayweather's concern for his unbeaten record. When it's read about, it'll be impressive. But when we really take a look, how much more impressive was it for Sugar Ray Robinson to face Jake LaMotta so many times, or Muhammad Ali to fight Kenny Norton 3 times? Cotto ends his career on a loss, but he fought a young, live opponent. I believe he can live with that. A great fighter, a great career. Thanks for the email, Jeffrey. And I agree with that analogy 100%. And I hope that the powers that be, specifically fans, later on recognize that a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who did choose the easiest path, puts that in perspective when they list their all-time greats. It's a tough one with Floyd because he did possess the skill. But like I always say, if you're showing skill against mediocre opposition, how much skill do you really have? I've always respected the fighters that want to continue to prove they're the best and seek out the best throughout their career. Sugar Ray Robinson was pointed out here by Jeffrey, but even more recent, Sugar Ray Leonard is the quickest example I could always say. He comes out of retirement, and what does he do? He goes after the top dog in a division he didn't even fight in and ends up getting the W, even though I disagree with that win. But that's what great fighters do. They do great things. They accomplish great things. Miguel Cotto attempted to do that, came up short. Nothing to be ashamed of. This next one's from Raheem. Good morning, Billy and Sal. It's me, Raheem. This weekend was great for boxing. Cotto's a warrior, and even though he lost, he put a good 12-round fight. And now we have a young and up-and-coming fighter with Ali, who is the new champion. I was happy for Ali, and I think he has the potential to be one of the best. I think boxing will benefit with having Ali, and I can't wait to see his next fight. I think we need more young fighters like him because there's a void now that Floyd retired. Boxing will not be the same. It won't be. It'll be better. I think the best thing that's happened to the sport of boxing is that Floyd Mayweather has retired. I hope he never comes back. He was a terrible thing for boxing, set a precedent that all these fighters wanted to copy, and we ended up in a dull era while Floyd was cherry-picking opponents and making the most money he could for the least amount of risk. Raheem, you haven't a clue about Floyd Mayweather and what he really pulled. But I'm glad to see that you're supportive of Sadam Ali, because boxing is a whole lot better without a guy like Floyd Mayweather. That's my opinion, and I've said it many times before, and I stick to it. He says, I would like to know your thoughts on Ali and if he should move up to fight Canelo and others in Canelo's weight class. No, first of all, I respect Ali, and I hope nothing but the best for him, but why should he move up? I can't stand these young fans today, Sal, that a fighter gets a win, and the first thing they want him to do is move up. Doesn't Raheem know that he already moved up to fight Cotto? Why should Raheem move up? I don't get it. The junior middleweight division is wide open right now. Sadam Ali is in a great position to take over the junior middleweight division, or at least challenge some other fighters in the junior middleweight division. Why would he want to move up? Why are fans today so quick to force a fighter to move up, Sal?
Well, it shouldn't be just fan driven. We know that, and I can respect, Ali's where he is, and you know what? He's fighting at a good weight for himself. He looked good. He looked in good shape. He looked strong, and he already moved up as you suggested. So it is what it is. Let a fighter fight where he's at his best, and he should figure that out. The fighter should know that, and I think that the same thing. They're talking about Vargas moving up, and he's a tall, lanky guy, but I'll tell you what, Vargas, if he moves up and fills out or so, I think he's going to have more trouble moving up. I think right now he is unique at this weight class, and I think he does have a lot of fights ahead of him that he'll be dominant in. And if he does move up, I think he'll lose some of that translated into the pounds he'll put on, and he'll be with an equal who has another pop. This guy didn't have a pop. This Negroni, he and the other guy. You know, I think fighters should stay where they fight their best. That's it.
Well, I personally think that what we could do in the sport of boxing is change the weigh-in process. Either have it the same day or whatever, and then you wouldn't even have this discussion because there'd be certain fighters that can make weight and certain fighters won't be able to make weight. End of story. What we're getting is not a true representation of a weight class when you have certain guys that have a body type. I mean, Ray Vargas is a great example. The guy, look at the size of him. You know, he weighed 122 for the weigh-in. What did he weigh for the fight? You know, but I don't even know how he weighs 122 ever. But that's beside.
I think I weighed 122 my sophomore year.
Like I said,
in high school.
My leg weighs about 122 pounds. But anyway,
I'll talk to you about that.
The last email I got, this is from my man Ruben, and he says, "Hey Billy C, I saw the highlights of the Cotto Ali fight. It looked like it was competitive. I expected Cotto to take Ali out, but Ali had other plans. Do you think Cotto would have won if his bicep wasn't damaged? I can imagine the look on your face when Cotto said he hurt his bicep, but he says, here comes the but no excuses. Ali won the fight. Was that bad or bad? Bad meaning good or bad meaning bad? Sorry, I couldn't resist. You and Sal crack me up. I love your show. You guys helped me get through the day." Thanks for the email, Ruben.
That's great.
The fight was competitive, and he did mention that he hurt his bicep, but he wasn't going to make an excuse. But that was after he already.
But that's the excuse right there.
He already mentioned. But you know what? Cotto's a warrior.
He is.
And personally, I'm not gonna give him the butt here.
No.
You know what? Cotto, in a loss, Cotto went out not the way he wanted, but he went out on 2 feet, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, when you look at Miguel Cotto's career and the style in which he fought, it's no surprise that he aged overnight. I just hope the guy, especially based on how many times he's been down and dragged his ass up off the canvas, you know, to be a great fighter, you have to prove that you have the heart and the fortitude to do what Miguel Cotto did many, many times. Now, I'm not saying that fighters that never hit the canvas or never had a show that they had heart. I'm not saying that didn't exist, but it certainly is a breath of fresh air when a fighter does prove that he has it, and it adds to his legacy. Plus, it adds to his own persona. This is a guy that knows when he's in the heat of battle that if he gets hurt, he can come back. He's done it before. The guys that it happens to the first time, they question the ability. They don't know what to expect. What's your thoughts on that, Sal?
Well, it's so true. I mean, you know, that's when a fighter really blossoms and challenges himself and says, hey, you know, I got the blinders on. I got a mission. I got my heart, my soul, my body. It's focused. I'm fighting a fight. And I know I'm going to be immune to anything that happens to me. I'm impervious to it. I just got to be driven. I got to stay to my plan, and I got to do it. And that's what a real fighter does. He does not let the cuts. He does not let the thumbs, the this and that, the elbows. You go past it. You break past it. There's no pain. You don't feel the pain. You just feel the incentive to win, the fight, your heart, you're bleeding. You have to go forward. And that's it. You know, you put it all out there. And that's how I feel about it. And that's the kind of fighter that Miguel Cotto is. And I don't even want to say was yet, because I don't know if we saw the last of him. I hope so, but
I think we did. I think in his mind, his performance, he tried his best and he came up short, and he knows that. No disrespect to Sadam Ali, but he's no world beater. Who else? They're only going to offer a big fight to Cotto against a guy that he may not have a chance. I mean, who knows? The money may, they may make him an offer he can't refuse, Sal.
Could they maybe? Like I said, I wouldn't suggest there was even a rematch clause, But I wonder if that might be. I mean, it was a close fight, and there were some rounds that could have gone either way. I clearly thought that Ali did win, but was it close enough where Miguel Cotto feels like he could turn the tide earlier, or he could have done something differently? Sometimes a fighter going through a 10 or 12 round fight like that learns from that fight and says, "Hey, this is what I got to do differently." So I wouldn't be too surprised if you hear over the next week or two that Miguel Cotto wants a rematch. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's necessary. Miguel Cotto could stay retired and enjoy life with his family, as he suggests. But I wouldn't be too surprised if he says, "Hey, I want one more shot to do this." Right?
Well, he reportedly pulled in $2 million for this fight. Sadam Ali under $1 million. As a bon voyage to throw another, whatever, when it's all said and done, taxes, expenses, he throws another $1 million in the bank. I'm talking about Cotto. I think he and his family can live happily ever after. If you saw some shots of his family, I mean, Cotto's been around a while.
He's got a beautiful family.
He's got a beautiful wife, and his kids are older. Some of the kids are older. I think Cotto's still young enough to really enjoy his life with his family, and focus on his promotional company. I just don't understand why a lot of these fighters, at the end of the day, don't put more focus and energy into their promotional companies. I mean, aside from just getting a piece of the promotion during their own fights, they need to carry it further. That's my argument with Floyd Mayweather right now. If Floyd Mayweather really put in the effort to really build his promotional company, he could be one of the top promoters. I mean, if he drops that "I'm the best" and never really wants to look for fight, I personally don't think that he would want to bring fighters in his stable that could upscale him, outshow him at some point, or do more than he did. And I think if he was able to let that go, I think Floyd Mayweather could have an extremely successful company as a promotional company. Maybe Miguel Cotto is going to do that. He has been putting on smaller shows in Puerto Rico, and we have seen Cotto Promotions popping up. It seems like Cotto is building his promotional company from the ground up, and that's what you need to do, Sal.
And why not? It's a grassroots, and maybe, right there, hey, we know Puerto Rico's got talented fighters. And why not homegrown? Let them find the next Wilfredo Benitez, or the next Miguel Cotto, or the next. He could do that. He's got the sift in place, and he could definitely look at who we can make turn into a superstar by allowing them the opportunities.
Right. Exactly. I got an update. We're talking about heavyweight update here. I mentioned David Price winning to get a W, and I just have a feeling he's going to be the guy that Tyson Fury fights in his first fight back. Luis Ortiz, here was a guy that Luis Ortiz was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder, and then all of a sudden tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. WBC X'd the bat out, and then said, "Oh, we're looking out for his well-being," and Ortiz's team uncharacteristically turns around and says, "Oh, thank you for caring about our fighter." Well, it was ruled the other day that Luis Ortiz, according to the WBC, can now once again compete in WBC-sanctioned events. He paid a $25,000 fine after testing positive, and now he's okay. The WBC said the problem was that Ortiz never told VADA he was taking the medication for high blood pressure. Now he will be tested based on a specifically designed protocol in the future so that they know that he's already taken the high blood pressure medicine. He's been reinserted into the WBC rankings, and he will get his chance. I really think that this is starting to look like, and also sprinkle in the fight that Deontay Wilder was supposed to fight against Povetkin, because just remember, they had the same thing. Both of those fights were made and then canceled, and then all of a sudden the WBC clears both fighters. You know, people had said to me, "Oh, I think it was a scam. I think that they announced these fights. They knew that it was going to be canceled, etc., etc." It's starting to seem that way, you know. It's starting to seem that way. I mean, how do you, you know, all of a sudden after looking into the situation, after the fight is done, now you say, you know what, you're right, you could do that. I don't know. It does smell a little fishy to me, Sal. What do you think?
If it smells like a fish, bites like a fish, hooks like a fish, it's a little fishy to me too, Billy Z. Yeah, it is something. You know, we only could go on what we hear, and you know, there's other forces that are involved here, and I think that those are the in between the lines kind of thing, like Paul Harvey used to say. And now the rest of the story.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're scheduled to have Dax Khan join us. We'll get his thoughts on Miguel Cotto's final fight. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. Don't forget, the holiday season is here. So make sure you get everybody my book for Christmas. Joining me right now, and Sal, of course, to give us his thoughts on Miguel Cotto's final fight, and I do believe it's his final fight, a loss against Sadam Ali, is Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. What's your thoughts on the Cotto fight?
Well, it was anticlimactic. For some billed as his last fight, he's certainly a first ballot Hall of Famer, but we were either expecting him to either win big or lose big. And it kind of makes you ask questions about each fighter. The first about Miguel Cotto is, was he really that uninspired headed into this? Was his mind already in that my career is over, I'm not disappointed, and I'm not really that into this fight? And, did he feel more or less that he was taking this fight he was obligated to the fans rather than it was a fight that he wanted? Because Sadam Ali, despite being a good fighter, Miguel Cotto over a few years ago would have dispatched this kid in 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't Miguel Cotto of 2 or 3 years ago. I give him a lot of credit for fighting a younger guy. I mean, we all, I mean, at least myself, the three of us all thought that Cotto was going to win very easily. I know there were some people out there that believed Sadam Ali. I didn't. And, that's what happens in boxing. I mean, fighters have a tendency to, age overnight, so to speak, But I give Miguel Cotto a lot of credit, Dax, for fighting a young fighter, almost 10 years younger than him. Even though he wasn't on our radar as a world beater, he still stepped in and challenged himself. It didn't work out for him. And I kind of think, I mean, your choice of words of anticlimactic, I guess it's true, except from the whole perspective, and maybe this is where I'm wrong or the way I'm looking at it. I look at the complete perspective of Miguel Cotto's career, something he's done the same from day one through Saturday night. He's challenged himself. He's fought the same style. I don't think he was loaded with talent. But his heart and determination kept him in these big fights. He made a lot of money. I don't know, man. I think that, at least in my mind, Dax, he goes out on his shield, and I give him a lot of credit. I believe at 37 years old, he was challenging himself. Even though we kind of were expecting more from Cotto, I think he was challenging himself. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to get a lot of respect for that fight.
Oh, but it's not a disrespect. And again, Sadam Ali's a very good fighter. He's very fast. He has good footwork. He was a sensational amateur. But Cotto, it's not the Cotto of 3 years ago. It's not even the Cotto of 2 years ago. In the Kamagai fight, I think that was really the definitive fight to say, Cotto's career is over. Even though Kamagai's a guy with an iron chin, he himself was an aging, faded fighter who lost to Robert Guerrero in a one-sided fight a couple years ago. Guerrero, who was a career featherweight, and then Alfonso Gomez, the guy that Miguel Cotto literally just blew out in 2008. He's shell-shocked. Alfonso Gomez, a B-level fighter at his best. He easily defeated Kamagai in 2015, and Cotto seemed to work hard in that fight to get the win over Kamagai. So, as far as Miguel Cotto, his career, he's always been a wrecking machine, and he's always been vulnerable. Those two attributes combined with his tremendous heart is what makes a fighter great and what makes us love a fighter. He's had a great career, and, I would have liked to have seen him kind of leave after the Kamagai fight and left the champion and not on a loss, but the fact that, Sadam Ali is a good fighter, a younger fighter, went in there and put on a good performance, it doesn't really take much away from what Miguel Cotto did. So it was a good fight. As far as Sadam Ali next, I really don't know what he's going to do next. Those other guys at 154 pounds are huge. I don't see him in there with a Charlo. I don't see him in there competing with a Jerry Hurd. I don't see him outboxing even an Erislandy Laura, maybe back to 147 pounds. But at least this fight did put him on that radar that he wasn't on, as you mentioned before. And his career's kickstarted. Be interested to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, those 154-pounders do seem pretty big, especially the Charlo brothers and Hurd, because, man, I don't know how he looked like a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight. But what was your thoughts on some of the commentary? I mean, we heard things like, hey, the two guys have the same exact footwork. They look the same in the ring. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm going, what are they talking about? I mean, I didn't see any similarities between the two styles, between Cotto and Sadam Ali. I mean, what's your thoughts on how biased the commentary crew was? And they definitely were, Dax.
Yeah, we'll get them all at once. It's just real quick, the Ray Vargas against Austin Negrete fight. Negrete, we knew that Vargas was going to outclass him. He is a tough guy. I'll tell you what, that guy takes punches like you don't believe. But again, the commentary was just awful, just like it was in the Cotto and Sadam Ali fight. They sat there and they would literally contradict themselves one after the other. Vargas are talking about how nobody else in the division would want to fight him, and then they're saying now that Guillermo Rigondeaux has exited the division, who's going to want to fight a guy like Vargas with his skill set? But on the other hand, they just got done saying how Vargas' trainer, Nacho Berenstein, steered Vargas away from wanting to fight Guillermo Rigondeaux. So you're telling me that the guy that nobody would want to fight was avoided by the guy that nobody wants to fight now, and now who's going to fight because everybody in the division's avoiding everybody? Well, as far as the Cotto and Ali fight, I think they were a little bit more biased. They were trying to sell Sadam Ali in a lot of ways. At one point in time, they had him as one of the hardest punchers there is. Miguel Cotto. They were trying to sell a lot of things. I think they're really trying to sell Sadam Ali like they do a lot of these opponents for these very big name fighters that nobody knows, and trying to make the fight seem more interesting than what it actually is, instead of just letting the fight itself be interesting enough for the fans.
I agree with that.
Here's a perfect one. You think about when the cuts. You mentioned the cuts when Vargas was bleeding out of both eyes, and he goes over to the doctor, and he says he still wants to fight. Lampley says, "Of course he wants to fight. He's a fighter. He's not going to say he doesn't want to fight." Now I realize they fight on HBO. I don't know if Lampley has it in his contract. He can't watch fighters on HBO. Let anybody know. So did he miss the entire career of the Durrell brothers up to date because they'll quit at the drop of a hat?
This is true. I was mentioning earlier, and we lost Sal for some reason. I'll try and get him back. But
I heard that.
I thought that the turning point in the fight, the Cotto Sadam Ali fight, happened, and I can't recall what round. I'm thinking it was the 8th or 9th round. Miguel Cotto landed a shot on Sadam Ali, and it hurt him. And normally, and you've seen this a million times like I have, a fighter will say, no, didn't hurt me, and we all know, well, geez, it must have hurt him. But that's not what Sadam Ali did. Sadam Ali looked at him and gave him a nod saying, you got me there. I mean, it sent him back into the ropes, and then, he got his together. And I think it was the turning point in the fight, Dax, because from that point on, I saw a more aggressive Sadam Ali. Did you see that, or what was your thoughts on that?
Well, Cotto actually kind of faded. Remember, those were Cotto's best rounds, that 7th and 8th were his best rounds. And then come the 9th, Cotto just literally stopped punching. He ran out of gas. So I think Sadam Ali was a combination of, he was recognizing that he did get caught, and he was giving Cotto the credit for it. And then, he also, after missing those times that Cotto was hurt and he should have jumped on Cotto, said to himself, all right, you got me good. Now I see you're tired. So you know what? I can kind of step back a little bit and I can box. Because in that 12th round, Sadam Ali really didn't do much.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't do much in that at all. I thought that I just thought it was kind of a turning point in the fight. As far as Freddie Roach, what was your thoughts on Freddie Roach's lack of at least in my opinion, lack of instruction to Miguel Cotto? He didn't say anything, as far as I heard.
Well, we've talked about that in some of the last Manny Pacquiao fights as well. Freddie has been given that same criticism. But again, last week we spoke about trainers, and once they get to a certain level of fighter, there's not really much you can tell them. Miguel Cotto's that type of guy. I had mentioned Bernard Hopkins last week where, really, what are you going to really tell a guy at that stage of his career who's been where he's been and done what he's done? There's not much you can say to him that's going to change what's going on inside that ring. It's more a matter of the fighter just not being able to carry out what they already know how to do. So I think that was the situation there. And Freddie Roach, more or less, was just kind of being in the corner telling Miguel, get through it, keep doing what you're doing. Freddie Roach was a little bit nervous. He seen Miguel Cotto was hurt a few times from a guy that's not a big puncher, and he just wanted to make sure Miguel, if he was going to lose his last fight, don't lose getting knocked out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree in terms of you're not going to teach him new things. You're not going to start saying, do this, do that. But I think that he could have said, avoid this. Maybe be another set of eyes, the way a good trainer should. He's coming over, he's timing you, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do that. Just bring it to his attention. Freddie Roach failed to do that. The most. The only thing he said is, "I need a big round." At the end, he said, "I need a big round." I mean, that was really the only thing he said. Other than that, I could see Miguel Cotto thinking that he's cruising in this fight.
No, I think, again, they know each other well. When people know each other that well and they work together all the time, more or less, they kind of understand what the other guy is thinking. And again, I can't stress enough, at that point in stage, Miguel Cotto, if he was a new champion, an upcomer or something like that, then, you can give him sort of instructions. Miguel Cotto knows that he was being timed. Miguel Cotto knows that he should have cut off the ring a little more. Miguel Cotto knows you weren't going to tell him anything he didn't know.
Well, he didn't do it. That was the whole thing.
I don't think he was physically able to.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he did it in the right way, in my opinion, anyway. But in any event, where do they each go from here?
Well, Miguel Cotto is going to retire. He's adamant on that. He wants to retire. He wanted to retire a couple years ago. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to enjoy time with his family. A lot of time that he missed. His wife and his kids been through a lot, seeing the beatings they took in the ring. His two sons. His one son, I remember actually seeing him at a press conference one time where Miguel Cotto, a very loving father, spent more time worrying about his son having the right game inside his Game Boy and making sure that he had his face wiped and so on while they were during the press conference, rather than him sitting there and listening to what the promoter has to say. So he wants to make up for that lost time. He's made money. He doesn't have to fight anymore. There's nothing for him left to prove, and this is what he's going to do with, we want to see this happen with guys. We want to see them leave when they still have something left inside of them, and they're able to take advantage of the fruits of their labor inside the ring. As far as Sadam Ali, again, as I stated, I really don't think 154 pounds is the division for him, because some of those 154-pound guys are more like light heavyweights, what they used to be anyway. So back down to 147 pounds, and if he can perform like he did on Saturday, I can see him fitting well in with the mix of the top names with anybody but Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah, you think he's going to do that? You think he's going to move back down?
I don't see why he wouldn't. I think that would be the smart thing to do. The only reason why he would stay at 154 pounds is for one more fight to defend that title and get a nice payday. Other than that, anything else, in my opinion, would just be detrimental to his career and would totally take away from this victory, because what would happen in the next loss, also the fans and media would say, is he beat a faded Miguel Cotto, which meant nothing. Anybody could have done that on that point in night, and so they wouldn't capitalize on the momentum he has built.
One last question I have for you, Dax, has nothing to do with the fights from Saturday. It has to do with the WBC all of a sudden okaying Luis Ortiz now. And what bothers me with this is now they say, okay, well, now since VADA knows you take high blood pressure medicine, we know that when you get tested, it's going to be in your system. If they evaluated it and saw that he needed to take high blood pressure, and there was a lot of discussion that, Team Wilder knew and blah, 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 and it was kind of, you hear all these stories. What's your thoughts? I mean, both fights, Dax, Alexander Povetkin and then, of course, Luis Ortiz, both X'd out of the Deontay Wilder fight because of performance-enhancing drugs, only to have them both be reinstated by the WBC. I mean, it smells fishy to me.
I can see the WC's point that, really he wasn't taking performance-enhancing drugs. It was a high blood pressure medicine. Whether or not they wanted to give a temporary suspension or a ban or something like that, or then not, I'm fine with that due to the fact, he wasn't taking performance-enhancing drugs. As far as the Povetkin situation in this, I don't know. It's too complicated. There's too much going on. It's too soap opera-like for me. Eventually, it'll all come out in the end. Two last things. I would say, one, in female news, we know that the Claressa Shields-Christina Hammer fight has been getting close, and that was going to be the next, or the actual first real big female mega fight. It was just announced that Christina Hammer is going to be fighting on the undercard of Claressa Shields and Tori Nelson January 12th, and she's going to be facing and she's going to be facing Lisa Garland. So, that fight is just one step closer to taking place. And what do you think that's going to do for the female division?
I don't have a comment on the female division, to be honest with you. I'm not crazy about. I think Clarissa Shields needs to fight Christina Hammer. That's all. So when that takes place, whatever. What's the other one? What's your other point?
All right, two last things. One, we always speak about how easy it is to sell fans these days, and how these promotion companies are able to give subpar quality products, and fans are buying it because the fans, they don't seem to know any better. And also, you see these fans that take to social media, and whatever's said on social media, whether it be Twitter or Facebook, or they see in some sort of internet chat room, or they see in some sort of boxing forum, they take as law. It doesn't matter who's saying it. It doesn't matter if that's a credible source on who's saying it. They take that as law. And if you should happen to disagree, or should happen to try and educate them on something, they become mad. They become... they start cursing you out, calling you names. They call your mother names. Whatever there possibly is, they become so enraged. It's funny, and they don't like that term casuals. Well, on Saturday night, I came across one of these guys after he gave his top 10 list, his top 10 greatest Puerto Ricans fighters of all time list, and he didn't like the fact that I disagreed with it. This is a fellow by the name of El Yogi 200. I'm going to give you this list. We'll start from the bottom to the top. After that, you and Sal comes back on. You and Sal can discuss this and tell me if this list is a good list, it's a bad list, and what should be adjusted in this list, and certainly what's wrong with this list. Starting from number 10, Jesus Rojas. Number 9, Edwin Rosario. Number 8, Esteban de Jesus. Number 7, Samuel Serrano. Number 6, Carlos Ortiz. Number 5, Miguel Cotto. Number 4, Evangelista Cotto. Number 3, Ivan Calderon. Number 2, Danny Garcia. And number 1, one of my favorite fighters. I don't know if he's an all-time great fighter, though, but one of my favorite fighters, Orlando Siri Solito. This is his top 10 list of greatest Puerto Rican fighters of all time.
I see. Well, we can discuss that at some other time. Maybe not today, though. But I'm glad that Ivan Calderon was on that list. Clearly a great Puerto Rican fighter, but there seemed to be several missing. But
and there seem to be several on there that aren't even Puerto Rican. Which is the point on, this is why, with this mindset, this is why it's so easily to sell fans this subpar product these days. And my last comment of the day is 27-year-old former featherweight Daniel Twitch Franco underwent his second brain surgery Friday to have a plate be grafted into his skull. That was due to the injuries he suffered in June 10th against his bout against Jose Harrow, who's been very supportive and in contact with the family continuously to see, the progress of Daniel Twitch Franco. The surgery was a success. But you know what? It's also now been 177 days without a call from Rock Nation, his former promoter, even to see, how is he doing? How's the progress? We hope he's doing well. So you know what, Rock Nation? You're trash. You should be ashamed of yourself. You can't even check on one of your former fighters to see how they're doing, and I can't wait till you're rid of the sport. I'm glad everybody left you.
I'm glad. I think that they are done. But Dax, appreciate the time, and we look forward to you later in the week, my man.
All right. Enjoy your day.
That's Dax Khan. You can check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. And speaking of the show, I wanted to make sure everybody knows that we have a programming note. We're in our holiday broadcast schedule right now, and right now we will not be doing a live show on Thursday, but we are scheduled to be here the rest of the week. But we got Sal back with us. Sal, I appreciate you coming back here. But in any event, are you working all right?
Oh yeah,
all right. Well, no, I mean,
I wasn't sure it was on your end or my end.
I'll talk to you about that after the show. We will discuss that after the show. But anyway, because we are, in case you don't know, we are live right now. So it is what it is. I don't know if you heard Dax's comments about great Puerto Rican fighters. But when you think of great Puerto Rican fighters, aside from Miguel Cotto, who comes to your mind?
Well, of course, two that come to my mind would be Wilfredo Benitez and Esteban de Jesus.
Yeah, Esteban de
those
Jesus.
are the first two, but there are several others that do.
Yeah,
they're more my contemporaries.
It's a decent it's a decent topic. And Dax's point was that he had given us a list. I didn't write them all down, but he gave us a list that contained some fighters that weren't Puerto Rican. So that was his whole point. Sal, before I take a break, do you have any final thoughts on Miguel Cotto and his career, and assuming that he does indeed stay retired, which I kind of have a feeling. I was saying, I know Friday, that I didn't think this was going to be his last fight, but I do think it will be. I think that financially he's secure. Unless they offer him so much money like they did to Boom Boom Mancini, I think he's retired for good. What's your thoughts on his career and the contribution that Miguel Cotto made to the sport of boxing?
I think if we look at his career, I mean, he had spanned, I mean, what was his professional debut? He's been fighting for, 15 years? The guy is a warrior. He's always given his 100%. He's always risen to the occasion. You cannot expect a human being to who's passionate about his craft, and I use that term because that's what it showed in his exhilaration and his passion and his desire to win. And he was a warrior. He fought anybody, anywhere. He didn't care. He just wanted to be the fighter to be tested and to come out and do what he can do to be the victor. And you can't say anything else but praise this guy for this kind of passion, this kind of heart, and to hone in on his craft the way he did. And I hope he does stay retired. I hope he does go on to live a good, healthy life and enjoys his later years, because he still has a long, long life ahead of him. And I hope he enjoys his family. So he contributed so much to the world of boxing and to the lighter weights too. I mean, this guy was always, as you said, Bill, he was an exciting fighter. You knew when you were going to see a Miguel Cotto fight that there was going to be excitement. You were going to be looking at that tube. You were going to be looking ringside, and you were going to enjoy and come away satisfied because he gave it his all. And I think that he will be probably a first ballot Hall of Famer and first round. And I think that he deservingly does need to be up there. He's going to be a legend one day, and people of Puerto Rico could always be proud. People of fight fans could always be proud. This guy was a warrior, and I hope he enjoys his second stage of his life because he can go on and do things and be productive in so many areas now because he is a leader, he's a champion, and he'll always be a champion.
The one thing that I agree with everything you said. Warrior, always gave it his all. The one thing, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I am going to sprinkle in some things that I've said about Miguel Cotto over the last couple of years, or actually one specific thing, and that is he became a bit of a diva, demanding, things in negotiations and stuff. And, in hindsight, maybe he deserved it. And, maybe me being a little too critical of Miguel Cotto. It's easy to say those things during a fighter's career, at least for me. But when a fighter ends his career, the career starts to be put in perspective. And although I like to give a fighter a full 5 years before I could, really evaluate and give an opinion on their overall career, Miguel Cotto is one of these types of fighters that, assuming that his career is indeed over, you can start appreciating what he gave to the sport. And that's an important part of my thought, is he gave something back to the sport of boxing. It was a two-way street for Miguel Cotto. One way was for him to accomplish what he did in the ring in terms of championships, performances, and, of course, money. And then the other thing is what he gave back to the sport of boxing. And what Miguel Cotto seemed to have given back is a hell of a lot of excitement, a career that's going to be etched in stone in the Hall of Fame, and a guy that, whether you liked him or not, you had to appreciate watching a Miguel Cotto fight. This is something that only great fighters can do. And not to compare him with other fighters, but there's a lot of fighters out there that claim they're great. And I think when you put their careers in perspective, you're not going to say that they brought as much to the sport as Miguel Cotto did. Miguel Cotto brought a lot to this sport just by being Miguel Cotto. And that's something that has value beyond comprehension from, ordinary fighters or even exceptional fighters that don't return the favor that the sport does for them. In other words, Miguel Cotto made a ton of money. He accomplished a lot of things in terms of, world titles, the first Puerto Rican fighter to win 4 world titles in different divisions. But he also gave something back. And I think that has a lot of value. We're going to take a short break. When I come back, we're going to talk a little boxing. How about that? Imagine that.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home. Endless.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Hey, programming note: we're in the holiday season, and like I told you, there are going to be some days now between now and the end of the year that we got to juggle around for different obligations. And again, this week we will not be doing a live show on Thursday. But we are scheduled to do live shows every other day. Now, unless there's some kind of a technical issue or whatever, you can plan on having us every day, but except for Thursday. But hey, Sal, we've had a trivia question that I am recycling. I am not going to ask it again. It is a tough one, and I am going to bring it back. I'm just leave it at that. I got a new one. This one is let's see, which one am I doing here? Okay. The question is, I captured my first world title on my first try, but once I lost it, it took me almost 12 years and 5 world title attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? You have any ideas?
Bobby Chacon. No.
No, but that's a good one. But so if you're the first one to email me the correct answer to this, Billy at Talkin' Boxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. You'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Now, I am going to give you a hint. This is a question that we asked once before, and we gave out the answer, so I'm not going to tell you when, but it was at least 2 years ago. But in any event, I captured my first world title on my first try, but once I lost it, it took almost 12 years and 5 world title attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? If you're the first one to answer this question correctly by emailing me, Billy at Talkin' Boxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Good luck to everybody on that. On this day in boxing history, December 4th, can you believe we're already in December? I mean, this is the fastest year that has ever gone by. And I know they say the older you get, the faster the time goes by. But even people that are young, tell me the same thing, that, man, this year went by quick. But this year, oh, my goodness, it flew by. But anyway, it's almost playoff time for the playoffs. It's almost playoff time for the NFL.
It's Christmas and New Year's.
I know. On this day, December 4th, in 1993, Kevin Kelly wins a 12-round decision over Goyo Vargas to win the featherweight title in Reno, Nevada. That would be the WBC's version of the featherweight title. On this day in 1993, Eloy Rojas wins a 12-round decision over Kun Young Park to win the WBA featherweight title, to place in South Korea. On this day in 1983, Bobby Berna knocks out Song In Soo in the 10th round to win the newly created IBF Junior Featherweight title, and that took place in Seoul, Korea. On this day in 1998, Manny Pacquiao knocks out Chat Chai Dutch Boy Jim in the 8th round to win the WBC flyweight title in Thailand. We all know Manny Pacquiao would go on to win 8 world titles in different
flyweight
divisions.
Wow,
unbelievable. On this day, December 4th in 1965, Flash Elorde wins a 15-round decision over Kang Tu Soo to retain his WBC and WBA World Super Featherweight titles, and that took place in the Philippines. And finally, on this day, December 4th in 1961, Floyd Patterson knocks out Tom McNeely in the 4th round to retain his world heavyweight title, and that took place in Toronto. Patterson improves to 38-2, and McNeely suffers the first loss of his career as he drops to 23 wins and 1 loss. And that's what took place on this day, December 4th, in boxing history. Hey, man, don't forget, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.